Welcome, you little devils, to the recap of the first 15 episodes of my Oblivion expert-only playthrough. The episodes of this series are really full, but for this recap, I'm going to keep it brief, and I'm going to try and keep it exclusively story-based. So anything that is missed out of this recap, you can catch up on by watching the full series. And episode 16 of this series is out now, so you can go and watch that down in the description after this, if you like. But without further ado, let me take you through the first 15 episodes of this wondrous adventure. Yes. Episode 1 opens, as you would expect, with the iconic intro of Oblivion. Remember, the original of this came out in 2006, and they still had an awesome cinematic like this in their own way back then. Of course, it's been remastered and the graphics have been upgraded, but this world has been so in-depth and deep since the early Todd days, since Todd was in the chess club.
I was writing games when I was, 12, whatever. The other kids in the block would say, you dork, go back to the chess club. Who's laughing now? Yes, I was in the chess club.
That's right, Todd. Who's laughing now? Me. So, as we zoom deep into the prison of Cyrodiil's Imperial City, we are taken to the character creation page. I've heard a lot of things about how Argonian might be the worst race in the game, but I thought that lizard people are quite interesting because they can breathe underwater and they can blend with the environment. You don't know this, but all Argonians can skin change. You just think they're Nords, but really they're Argonians. Mark Zuckerberg is a prime example of this. We almost named our character Lays Bricks Proudly as he was going to build a fine empire. However, our character's history is a little more fun than that. His name ended up being Swims in Pussy. Of course, I had to put an O rather than a U for YouTube guidelines and text on screen, of course, but we know. And we will stop at nothing until all of Tamriel knows his name! So we play through the intro of the game, helping the Emperor, killing some rats, killing some zombies, helping the Emperor, taking an amulet from the Emperor, losing the Emperor, finding out the Emperor has a bastard son, and being tasked with going and finding the one person that can help us with this new grave task that we've been given. It all seems a bit much, don't you think? I'm joking. This is just the beginning. Oh, and of course the birth sign I chose was the lover because, well, he's a lizard and he should have the ability to paralyze his enemies and, well, his name kind of chooses for itself. Episode 2. What the? I was trying to make my own echo, not for it actually to echo. What the f? Anyway, episode 2 opens up with us leaving the sewers and entering the wide world of Cyrodiil for the first time in our playthrough. The first enemy I encounter in this wide open world is just a wolf, and I should dispose of it pretty easily. However, it backed me into a corner, outwitted me, and forced me to die of fall damage, so what an introduction to Oblivion. Then episode 2 follows with me continuing to move towards Wayne Priory in order to inform the leader of the Blades, a man named Joffrey, that the Emperor's bastard son is now the only living heir of the royal family. Before we get there, however, we are forced into a repetitive spat with a highwayman who I unfortunately have to admit I died to a few times to this freaking day. Eventually though, we reach the beautiful settlement of Wayne Priory and we enter in order to meet the beloved Joffrey. Not that one. After conversing with Joffrey for some time, he gives us some information that the bastard son of Uriel Septim the Emperor is named Martin, and he's holed up in a city called Kvatch, which is overrun by the minions of a Daedric prince named Mehrunes Dagon. I don't know what this is. Mehrunes Dagon, of course. Anyway, Joffrey follows up with some more kindness and allows us to equip ourselves with some heavy-duty gear. You ready? Boom. Once we arrive at Kvatch, you guys who have played Oblivion know exactly who this is that's coming to greet us. The man we're speaking to is an escapee of Kvatch who managed to survive Mehrunes Dagon's attack, along with some other members of the city who are now camped outside. This guy clearly had enough of being around here though.
Run when you can!
Of course, our hero pushes on to Kvatch in order to find Martin and lays his eyes on an Oblivion gate.
Wow. Nice.
And for the first time in this series, we enter Oblivion through one of its gates. As our hero wreaks havoc with some scamps, I find myself able to say something I've always wanted to say for the first time in my entire life. Oh! Oh! I have a friend! Can you believe it?
I have a friend!
That's enough of that now, alright? I have friends. Anyway, this is we're watching the outro to episode 2, so I hope you enjoy.
Understand this enthralling story that Bethesda wrote 20 years ago now.
Episode 1, 2, 3! Episode 3 begins with our hero and his newly acquired friend Elend moving through the plane of Oblivion as they attempt to reach the tower at the end. Unfortunately, Elend never ends up making it there. I tried my best, but expert difficulty just wouldn't allow it. So, in Elend's memory, we push on through the tower. I kind of get owned by scamps once or twice in the tower before I get the hang of it, but that doesn't matter. The point is, we end up clearing the first floor, and then we move up to the second one, which is just as easy as the first. Yeah, no, it wasn't. There was Dremora everywhere. And of course, we weren't ready for that, not an expert, so we backed out of Oblivion and went back to Kvatch. Then my squidgy, single-celled brain, came up with an idea. I thought that maybe I could go around the Oblivion Gate and into the city of Kvatch and save everyone still without having to close the Oblivion Gate. The thing is, for a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attempts, I didn't even get anywhere near the people inside the city because the Daedra kept overwhelming me. So after a certain amount of time, I just gave up on the idea of attacking Daedra altogether and just made a run for it to the chapel to see if Martin was in there. And to my surprise, I made it to the chapel and there was a full group of survivors waiting inside there. I told the first person who greeted me how bad the situation was out there and that they shouldn't really be leaving, and asked them where Martin is, if he's here at all. And yes, Brother Martin was indeed there. However, he refused to come with us back to Wayne Priory until we've closed the Oblivion Gate.
To their fate.
Ugh.
I'll go with you when we can all leave here together.
I need to kill all the Daedra. Well, I guess I'll be back at like level 34 or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's cool they added a line of dialogue for this, but why not just come with me? I wanted to cheat the system! So obviously, before leaving Kvatch, I had to give Oblivion one more go, and ended up getting my organs harvested immediately. So I tried again, and I thought things were going really well for me, as I even made him miss. But no, he got my health low, so I thought I'll be able to flee and get out of this. Yeah, the game crashed on me. Isn't that great, Bethesda? Thank you so much for this product. The crash was nearly the final straw for me, but I decided to give it another go, and I got obliterated into smithereens. After that humiliating loss, I just couldn't give up there. I had to keep trying until this Dremora was dead. So after giving him a bit of a taste of his own medicine and embarrassing him, I managed to lure him outside of the tower, so I could use a spell of my own and obliterate him back. And then the game crashed. Again, of course. After, I want to say, another 5 minutes of gameplay, it was actually more like an hour and a half, I managed to go further up the tower to another floor, and I was surprised to only have to defeat some scamps, because all the death that's already been dealt to me this episode, I wouldn't have been surprised if something harder than a Dremora was up there already. Although it was a nice break from some of the difficult combat I've already had to face, so I thought it was an adequate time to end episode 3 there.
And that's it for this episode.
Episode 4 skip.
You're right, geezers. Welcome to Oblivion episode 4.
So episode 4 starts with a weird intro, and we head back up the tower in Oblivion and cross a bridge to a second tower where we fight this guy and some scamps at the bottom of the tower. Those scamps might end up killing me, and I might have forgotten to save since last episode, so I might get sent back to episode 3 during episode 4. Don't we just love losing time? Yes. Anyway, after embarrassingly dying to those scamps a few more times, we finally end up beating them, and we head further up the tower, because at the top of the tower is how you close the Oblivion Gate. And then expert difficulty decided to hit me like a ton of bricks. I came across an even stronger Dremora churl, and I ended up dying to him 11 times. And I wasn't going to go up the tower after lowering the difficulty. I'm going to go through the whole game on expert, so I decided that I wasn't going to get up the tower on this attempt. But for a quick scene, I did lower the difficulty just so I could feel the satisfaction of removing the life from this fucking Dremora. So of course, since we were beaten, we head back out of Oblivion and head to the nearest settlement to Kvatch, Anvil. And Anvil is where we meet the Prophet, who promises great things in the future for swims in pussy. And with our newfound motivation, I thought I would try Oblivion just one more time, only to realise upon arrival that it got an upgrade. Flame Atronachs greeted me when none were present in the earlier attempts. We clear the Flame Atronachs on the base of the tower, and we head up a floor to see if we can get up further than we did before. But no, we are greeted by a new type of Dremora, a Dremora caitiff, and it didn't go well.
Please don't hurt me.
So that was it. We left Oblivion in a weakened state after our assault, but it was not enough in order to close the gate itself. So we would have to get considerably stronger before we can think about taking on Oblivion again. So back in Cyrodiil, we head to one of the major cities towards the middle of the country, Skingrad, where I decide to try and acquire another Mages Guild recommendation on our journey to joining the Mages Guild as a formal member. And to acquire the recommendation, the leader, Adriana, gives us a quest to head to a cave and find another one of their members named Earthor. Before we head there though, we have the outro to episode 4.
Oblivion for a while. Thank you for watching this episode.
Episode 5. Episode 5's prominent theme is the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild across Cyrodiil. Firstly, we continue on from episode 4 and head to Bleak Flat Cave in order to rescue Earthor. We rescue him, we bring him back to Skingrad, and we earn our recommendation for Skingrad's Mages Guild. After that, we venture back to a settlement we were at last episode, Anvil, and instead of going straight to the Mages Guild, we head to the Fighters Guild and meet with Azan. Azan then gives us our first basic task of dealing with some rats in someone's basement, which should have been easy. However, we find that the rats are actually pets to this dark elf, and we are asked to deal with a mountain lion down in a basement that's fighting her rats as we enter. So we report back to the owner of the rats, Arvina, and she tells us in good Karen fashion that she's not settled with this resolution and she wants me to find a hunter named Pinnerus and eradicate the rest of the mountain lions around Anvil. But being the obedient lizard that I am, of course I went along with it. I met Pinnerus and fought the lions with him and thought I did an okay job of mimicking him.
I think that'll be all of them. Can't imagine more in this area. You can go tell Arvina this is all taken care of. Good hunting.
Then after all is said and done, we report back to Arvina, who says there's another mountain lion in her basement. So we go down there, dispatch of it, and then the quest should be done. But Arvina, still isn't happy with the resolution. She thinks someone is out to get her and have her rats killed. And she would be right. We do some spying on Arvina's garden and we spot Quillweave, an Argonian, planting meat outside of the basement. She confesses that she thought this would just lure the rats out and she didn't know that it was luring mountain lions in. The situation has become really clear now though, so we report back to Arvina and then head back to Azan in Anvil's Fighters Guild and receive a promotion. We retrieve another quest from Azan for the Fighters Guild to resolve an issue for a shopkeeper that's been having to deal with repetitive break-ins. And this shopkeeper's name is
Norbert. Greetings.
Greetings.
Norbert. Norbert tells us he's going to stay in a hotel while we resolve the issue and wait in the shop at night for the thieves to return. So I head outside and I spot the future thieves of the shop just standing outside waiting.
Zero. You're literally the robbers. You're gonna die in a few hours.
Good one.
Then we head back to the shop at night and we catch them in the act. I lure them outside and have the city guard dispose of them.
Tidings guard. Someone's been attacked. There's a criminal on the loose.
After we've reported to Azan, we head to Anvil's Mages Guild now, where in order to acquire their recommendation, we have to deal with a traitor. They deploy us to Brina Cross Inn in order to sniff out the traitor and dispose of them. The traitor then farts and decides to cryptically wish me good luck in the coming battle.
Pardon me.
Why are you talking to me, Frost Mage?
Good luck to you.
Yeah, thanks.
Then, as we travel away from the inn, we spot the mage doing their best to ambush us.
So well. Whoever you are, please don't teleport. I said don't!
And we do what we were meant to do, dispose of them, and we head back to Anvil's Mages Guild to acquire the recommendation. Once I have it, I attempt to leave, but it is blocked by the outro to episode 5.
For this episode.
Episode 666. Starts off as I said it would, at Belderburrow. We kill multiple enemies on the way through, only to get blocked by a magic door.
A powerful magic prevents me from going further. God damn it!
So we actually have to go back to Kvatch and speak to the priest that revealed this place to us, in order to find out why the door is sealed. Although we know by now that our hero wanted to get much stronger, so we headed to the arena in the Imperial City to take on some 1v1s. Whilst in there, we speak to the Grand Champion, Agranak Gromalog. Look, that's his name. Have a look.
My name is Agranak Gromalog. Agranak Gromalog. Most people just call me the Grey Prince.
We perform 3 fights in the arena and win all of them quite convincingly.
I'll let you go out cold.
And after those 3 decisive victories, the adrenaline rush is massive! So we head back to Kvatch to take on the Oblivion Gate yet again. Only to realise that it's been infested now with Spider Daedra and Storm Atronachs. We go in through the gate anyway to see if we can take it on, and just as quickly as we entered, we left.
Yeah, no, that is just not a welcoming sight, is it?
And as we left, we brought some stragglers, which ended up killing one of the guards that was defending Kvatch from the gate. So that forced us now to have to visit less often so the Daedra don't overrun Kvatch and the rest of Cyrodiil. Our hero really wanted to go back to the arena, but if you remember earlier, we met Agranach, the Grand Champion. He gave us a quest to find out about his history because he doesn't even know the own circumstances of his birth. So we end up finding ourselves at Crowhaven in order to find out the truth, though again, we are blocked by the outro to episode 6.
Next episode. Big thanks to you if you've watched this far.
Episode 7! Episode 7 starts off where episode 6 ended, at Crowhaven, where we find out that Agranach's father is a vampire. So I make sure that this beast can never have children again.
What a freaking
We then go back to the arena at the Imperial City and inform Agranach of the true circumstances of his birth. Whilst in the city, we head down to the waterfront to speak to a certain beggar that can give us information about the Grey Fox, who is the leader of the Thieves Guild. We then head slightly south from the Imperial City to the next nearest city, which is Bravil. The first thing we do, yet again, is head to the Mages Guild to acquire their recommendation. They give us a different kind of task because one of the members of the Mages Guild stole a staff from another member, and we are tasked with retrieving the staff. We then accuse the man who stole the staff, and he says that he sold it to a man living in the Imperial City. And instead of heading back to the Imperial City, our hero felt a strange calling from something just outside of Bravil. It might start a 9-episode story arc or something, I don't know. When we get to what's calling us, it's a portal, and it belongs to the Daedric Prince, Sheogorath, and he personally invites us in.
Come in. It's lovely in the Isles right now. Perfect time for a visit.
So, of course, if a Daedric Prince asks you to do something, you do it. So I wandered through his portal into his realm, the Shivering Isles. Upon arriving in the Shivering Isles, we are meted and greeted by this sophisticated friend, Haskill. We agree that we are going to stay in the Shivering Isles and attempt to meet Sheogorath himself. When Haskill leaves, this awesome animation plays, and I get an achievement, and you can get that achievement too, just for entering the Shivering Isles.
Enter the Shivering Isles.
Now that the Shivering Isles is open to us, we head to its nearest settlement, Passwall, in order to pass a wall.
Present the Gates of Madness.
You there! Stay away from the gatekeeper. Let us handle this.
And guarding that wall is a gatekeeper who we watch destroy some adventurers who attempted to pass him. However, we need to get past him in order to meet Sheogorath, so we go and plan to kill him with a man who's obsessed with bones, named J-Red.
Do you ever wonder why things look better without their skin on? You can only really see the bones when you take them out.
I heard you want the Gatekeeper dead.
I need him dead. His bones are calling to me. I don't believe in magic, but I do believe in bones.
And just before we head out to attack the gatekeeper is the outro to episode 7.
Together. Next episode.
Episode 8! Episode 8 starts with our new bone-obsessed friend J-Red, and we attack the gatekeeper, and we manage to defeat him! Wow! Can you believe it? So we enter the next sector of the realm, named New Sheoth, and we head to the city, named Crucible. And there is Sheogorath's palace. We enter and meet Haskill again, and of course, the Mad God himself. And if you Bethesda fans know anything, it's that Daedric princes love ordering mortals around like silly little puppets. And Sheogorath is no different. He tasks us with travelling to the ruins of Xedilian in order to prevent some adventurers from entering the Shivering Isles, since we defeated the gatekeeper and we need to compensate for that by guarding his realm from people that are unwanted. Which makes sense, alright? I hold my hands up to that. I'm not going to ruin the minigames whilst I'm doing the recap, but whilst you're at Xedilian, you'll get to decide the fate of some adventurers yourself. And it is delightful. When leaving Xedilian, we were attacked by Knights of Order for the first time in this series. Our friend Killaban makes a little sense of it, but before we can really make sense of it, we are blocked by the outro to episode 8.
Next episode.
Wait, what's that?
99999
Episode 9 starts back at Sheogorath's palace, reporting to him on the Knights of Order that attacked us as we left Xedilian. He then tells us about another Daedric prince named Jigalag, who is the Prince of Order, but not much else than that. He then tasks us with serving both the Duke and Duchess of the two halves of his realm, Mania and Dementia. Firstly, we meet with the Duke of Mania, named Théoden, who is an addict of a drug named Feldu. There is a chalice that can reverse the effects of Feldu, which Théoden had, but he doesn't anymore, and he tells us to acquire its location from his stewardess. The stewardess, an Argonian named Wide-Eye, tells us where to find the chalice in a place named Dunroot Burrow. We go there and we find some elytra outside, which are bugs that we'll have to fight the whole way through Dunroot Burrow. And once we go deep underground enough, we find a really aesthetic cavern occupied by Feldu addicts that are surrounding the chalice. I should have really been able to kill them, but one of them was a pro boxer, so I had no chance.
How do you expect to punch a guy in full armor and a shield to death? It's not like you're a pro boxer or anything. I can't believe that just happened.
The next time around, we dispose of them and we retrieve the chalice, not before consuming enough Feldu to fill a ship. A number of days later, we head back to Théoden and we give back the chalice. Then we head across Sheogorath's palace to meet the Duchess of Dementia, Lady Syl. And she throws us right in the deep end and tasks us with uncovering a plot to assassinate her. No pressure. We are also given herder to legally torture any residents of Crucible that I see fit. Before we head out though to start investigating the residents of Crucible and the people around Syl, we are blocked by the outro to episode 9.
Where I'm going to end this episode.
Episode
10. In episode 10, we start our investigation with the people around Syl and close to her, and we actually get some information from her right-hand man, and it eventually leads to this Khajiit called Mazada. Although when we find Mazada, he doesn't give in to Herder's torture, which is really annoying. But eventually we can eavesdrop on Mazada and Nelreen, one of the Dark Seducers guarding Syl.
Good. I shall expect a problem.
And we find out that she's in on the plot to assassinate her. We of course confront Mazada and tell him that we know everything, and we force him to go and fetch names for us on everyone that's involved in the plot. We later go to Mazada's house and find out that he's been silenced by the other members of the conspiracy. But we find a note upstairs that leads us to the ringleader of the whole thing. We confront the leader, Maureen, and she just confesses it outright. So of course we report to Syl with that information, and Syl deals with her in her own way.
What does that do? Oh wow, you just pulverized her.
You see now what happens when those who oppose me fail.
Yes.
Nextly, we report to Sheogorath that we have served both the Duke and the Duchess. The next task he bestows upon our hero is to travel to Cylon and settle a dispute between the Golden Saints and the Dark Seducers and light the Flame of Agnon. After arriving at Cylon, our hero weighs up both sides and then scouts out the area that would be best for the battle. And after some consideration, we decided to lure the Golden Saints into a trap down in the Underdeep. However, I was still unsure on whether I wanted to really lure the Golden Saints down underground. But then the commander just made up my mind for me.
Are all males so obstinate?
What the fuck?
And then it turns out that all of our efforts were futile anyway, as it turns out that we were betrayed by the Dark Seducers and left to the will of the Golden Saints. And then of course I forgot to save and ended up all the way back before we even weighed up both sides. Episode 11. Episode 11 continues where episode 10 left off, and we ultimately help the Dark Seducers win this battle, and we watch their leader sacrifice themselves in order to light the Flame of Agnon. We then have to use that to light another flame and light ourselves on fire.
I hope it doesn't hurt. It does hurt!
We then report to Sheogorath that we have lit the Flame of Agnon, and Sheogorath tells us that he believes in order to stop the Grey March that we need to become a Duke. Therefore, the next task he throws at us is to perform the ritual of accession and assassinate either the Duke or the Duchess and replace them. I decide to meet with Théoden's stewardess in order to find out where the greenmote silo is. Greenmote is a poisonous herb that Théoden likes to douse his food with because small amounts are okay. We are going to overdose it. We head underground and find out where the greenmote is and end up having to fight Wide-Eye where she escapes.
Shield on. You'll still lose the fight. Wait, is she not coming back? Wow, she's just juked me and legged it.
We then sneak into the kitchens where Thaden's meals are prepared, and we overdose his food with the green moat. As we are about to escape, we are interrupted by the outro of episode 11.
Which will come next episode.
Episode 12.
Welcome, tall Goombas, to Oblivion Wait a minute, pause. The shape of that Goomba is a little sus if you ask me.
So yeah, the intro of episode 12, that Goomba does look a little sus. We continue with the ritual of accession, and we succeed in assassinating Thaden.
How about no? Let's watch him die together. Thaden, you're no longer Duke. Don't fold under the pressure. Oh, you literally did.
We then acquire some of his tainted blood, and we place it in the altar of Ardensul. Then out of nowhere, Syl enters and realizes the ritual of accession is underway, and believes that she is also going to be replaced. This causes her to make a drastic decision and completely defect from Sheogorath over to Order. Sheogorath also allows this. Syl's defection only makes her worst fear come true and solidifies me as the only Duke in the realm. And in haste, Sheogorath commands us to go back to Passwall and fight the forces of Order that are gathering there in order to overthrow the Shivering Isles. So of course we head over, defeat the knights, find out where they're coming from, and destroy the crystal that spawns them. Once we've destroyed the crystal, we head back outside only to find some more knights invading Passwall still, which we quickly dispose of, and one of the soldiers decided to go out in a fun way, and that brings the outro to episode 12. Episode 13, coming to a theater near you. Episode 13 starts at Passwall to remind you we're fresh off a victory from last episode, but our first activity is to report to Sheogorath on the victory, where he then decides that he needs a new gatekeeper to prevent any more Knights of Order from coming through Passwall into the realm. So he sends us to Zasselm, where we can start building a new gatekeeper. We fight through Zasselm, meet a very powerful mage named Relmina Verenim, who helps us perform a ritual to summon a new guardian of the Isles.
Fear not thy abasement. I bind thee, Atronach, to this body.
We watch the gatekeeper in action destroy some adventurers, and after that spot of fun, we head back to Sheogorath. Though before we can talk to him much, we are visited by a messenger, who tells us that the fortress built around their source of power, Pinnacle Rock, has been attacked by forces of Order. So of course we make haste for Pinnacle Rock, and as we arrive, we are greeted by the outro of episode 13.
Go inside. Next episode!
Oh, it's that time already. It's episode 14. Episode 14 continues where episode 13 left off. We enter Pinnacle Rock and fight off an army of Knights of Order and Priests of Order in order to free the leader of the Dark Seducers, Dylora. Dylora urges us to go as soon as possible to the source of their power, the Wellspring, where she believes we'll counter Syl and stop this advance once and for all. However, before reaching the Wellspring, Order manages to block it up and turn all the Dark Seducers in the Shivering Isles to stone. Though we don't need those Dark Seducers, we head to the Wellspring, defeat the Knights of Order, and free it from Order's control. Whoa. We then return to Haskill and Sheogorath, and it quickly becomes evident that Sheogorath's time is up. He bursts free into Jiggalag.
Dead! Sheogorath is dead! All shall crumble before Jiggalag!
Sheogorath's staff was also destroyed during his change into Jiggalag, and Haskill proclaims that you need a staff in order to assume the throne of the Shivering Isles, and you need someone on the throne in order to prevent Order from winning the war. He sends us to the one NPC that could possibly help us in the Shivering Isles, named Dias, within the Gardens of Flesh and Bone. Dias, the human library, says that we can build a new staff, but we need some rare, unique items that we have to go and fetch. The first item I acquire is at a place called Milkar, where I have to pass a trial and defeat myself in Daedric form. Once I have passed the trial, I can take a branch from the Tree of Shades. The second item, in order to complete the staff, is the eye of the woman named Seata at the Howling Halls. Before we enter though, we are blocked by the outro of episode 14.
I can hear something behind this door. It was just me.
And the final episode of this recap, episode 15! The intro of episode 15 continues at the Howling Halls, where we enter and meet a peculiar Khajiit named Rakeren.
You are not one of us.
Rakeren actually wants to betray Serta and help us kill her in exchange with becoming the leader of the entire group. I believe Rakeren is a little sus, so I decide not to seek his help. Before we slaughter her though, we find out that Serta hates Sheogorath, and I have to find out why.
Sheogorath refuses to protect us. Mad God?
The Grey March brings darkness. We seek light for all!
We remove Serta from the plane of existence and steal her eye, as well as her robes. Then we return to Daius, where he builds us a new staff.
Whoa, there's the staff. That's cool.
We take it to Haskell, where he informs us we can imbue it with power at the Font of Madness, but it has been contaminated by Order. It turns out that Syl, the ex-Duchess of Dementia, tainted the pools that power the staff with Order, and she brought some Priests of Order with her too. We eliminate all of the Priests of Order around certain pools under Sheogorath's palace before we eventually notice that Syl is at one of them.
Hello there.
And we put her down with a swift end. We return to the Font of Madness and imbue the staff with power, and before we can even celebrate this small victory, we are interrupted with the announcement of a final desperate assault by the forces of Order.
An obelisk has activated just outside the palace. I've ordered my Orioles to engage the enemy. I expect that this is the beginning of the final assault. The cursed usurper Jigalag himself may even take the field before the end.
We destroy the Order crystals outside Sheogorath's palace, along with what remains of all of the forces of Order, which forces Jigalag to make an appearance himself. Though just as he is about to, we are interrupted with the outro of episode 15.
Whoa.
I am going to end this episode here, and that is it for the recap of the first 15 episodes of my Oblivion series. If you've watched this far, please don't leave without subscribing, as it will help this channel reach more eyes. If you like either of the two series that I have on my channel right now, then be sure to let me know in the comments, because I want to hear your thoughts on how to make them better and what games I should play in the future. I do have a reaction video for a trailer to a game that I might be planning to put out this year, we'll see. But the reaction video is coming in a few days, so stay tuned for that. And remember, always, have fun.